Well guys, just another day in sunny Florida. I'm driving the Turdzilla over to Port Orange. We'll check in a few minutes. It'll probably be sunny in 5 minutes. Wow, these are great conditions to drive in. It never looks as bad as it is on camera. It's just not fair. We got a speed racer over here. Where's he going? 50. Much better. Alright, so we are back over at Nick's. We are going to... Oh, it's fogging up. Alright, so we're over at Nick's and we're going to be swapping the rear end from Turdzilla over to Nick's car. Nick's car has 410 gears, this one has 327 gears. This is going to make a huge difference on the 2-valve, especially since it really doesn't have low end torque. So it's going to bring it right into the RPM range much faster. So it's going to overall feel much faster even though it doesn't add any horsepower. We're going to swap the rear end to his car. He needs 327 gears because he has the turbo set up. He's going to be making a lot of power and the 410 gears are not going to be good for the turbo. However, if we end up going turbo later, it may not be the worst thing because we're not going to be making as much power as his car.
You're getting a jig welded setup with Yukon hardened axles and Yukon hardened gears.
What he said. So here's our rotors from the other day. They are completely spanked. This is a huge groove right here.
The brakes are fucking on fire!
I just went ahead and took the calipers off. The pads were pretty much dead. This is a good looking pad out of the bunch. Here's another one that's just completely flat. No material is left. Luckily, a subscriber sent it out here. Your name will be up on the screen. This is what the pad's supposed to look like. Alright, so we have the caliper bracket off. So now we can take these junky old rotors off. They're hot. And toss them in the trash. Hey look, that's the condenser. And one more. And we'll give it a nice toss. Alright, we're getting ready to drop it. Looks like the rain hit us again. We're just going to unbolt the drive shaft and drop this thing out. Alright, we got the drive shaft off. It's very nice. The previous owner stripped out the bolts, which made it very difficult to get that off. Alright, and it's ready to drop. And Nick is tearing his down. You clear? Mm-hmm. Oh, you did that in like more than half the time it took me to do that?
Probably more than that, probably like a quarter of the time.
Bam. So here is the new rear end. This one is 410 gears. We are going to need an SCT device to change the speedometer. So we're going to put that in here along with all our other UPR goodies and Viking double adjustable shocks. And we'll be good to go with some new 410 gears and a fresh rear end. And then Nick's over here with stock rear end, 327 gears. Since Nick is much faster at doing this than me, we're gonna do one at a time, and we'll end up doing it at the same time as it would take for me to do it.
Check out the fuel system.
Oh yeah, and there's the finished fuel system. So we got a line there.
Waiting on some more filters for it. So.
Line up there. Line there.
I don't speak Spanish.
Going down.
It's a mock run, so I gotta take all the stock and shit off still. I just did it all spring length.
Ah, fancy, you tucked it under there. And then that goes up there, and then there's just this big snail thing here. And all this piping stuff. And he has a sway bar. I need a sway bar. Alright, so you got this rear end waiting to go in. Nick is almost done over here. He's just putting the brakes on. Everything is pretty much bolted up.
Strange is doing work, son.
Oh yeah. He only has one knob. I have two knobs. .400 less horsepower.
400.
And I have two knobs.
Got that fancy knob.
All right, we got the rear end mostly in. Gonna have to put the drive shaft in, put the brakes on, and we are good to go. Speedometer is gonna be completely off.
Oh yeah.
Then you get an SCT. And we got some fancy new rotors because the other ones were
Trash.
a little shot.
A little.
That's a little. I mean that
Grand Canyon of rotors on the edges there.
that might have been because of a burnout.
In a wine lock.
Yes, sir. There we go.
Nice and shiny.
Nice. This car has too nice of stuff.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be worth a ton of money when you're done with it.
For real. I mean, that frame straightening job we did was pretty baller. Almost there.
It's getting a little dark out.
Huh?
Just a little dark out.
Just a little. So once again, big shout out to JR Martinez for sending out the pads. We're going to be putting them to use with the new rotors on the Turdzilla along with the new rear end. Alright guys, so we just finished. I am about to pull out. We're going to try the 410s for the first time. It was a long process. I've never pulled the rear end out of this car before. I only did the upper and lower control arms, so it was took me a longer time, but Nick was, so good. I want to give a huge shout out again to Nick for helping us out with the suspension. 410 gears, they're going to be so much fun in this car, and I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of that. If you want any work done in the Port Orange area, make sure you check out Nick's Facebook link. Just send him a message. I know a few of the subscribers actually went over there. Someone with an SN95 got some suspension installed, which is so awesome. So let's go try this car out. All right, well, I can tell you right away, the car moves forward. Oh, big ditch. The car moves forward fairly easily. Alright guys, so obviously the speedometer is going to be off quite a bit. We are rolling, typically this RPM would be this speed. However, we're probably going about 50 miles an hour. I would say the speedometer is about 10 miles an hour off. I haven't checked with the GPS speedometer yet. I'll give you guys a little, some pulls here when we get to somewhere we actually can do some pulls. Remember, I only have one hand on the camera, so it's a little difficult. Alright, here's a little idea. Alright, it spins a lot. Okay, spins a lot, guys. Yep, that's the little 2-valve power. Spinning, it would never spin like that before. I will definitely say this is one of the best mods you can do for a 2-valve. It just gives it so much more balls. That's 4th gear. Let's throw it down to 3rd gear. all that, and I was one-handed. Not bad for a three-handed driver. Just kidding. So, yeah. The car rips, guys. Absolutely rips. 410 gears, 100% recommended. This car's fun. This is 216 horsepower at the wheels. And you just saw me roast first, second, and third. Just absolutely awesome. 410 gears, or, I mean, even 373 gears, that is the way to go on this car. It just wakes it up. That's fourth gear, and like, this car is fun. And this, you know, it's not a lot of horsepower, but you can have a lot of fun with just a little bit of horsepower. All right, guys, we're back in town here. I think the biggest difference going just around town, regular driving, it's actually much easier to take off. We're gonna shift into second. So when you release the clutch, it's very, very simple. You don't have to hold very long to take off, because the 327 gears to the 410s, you know, the ratio is very quick. And what I noticed is, like, here's second gear, where normally the car would kind of sit a little bit when you give it some gas, but now it's very, very touchy, very responsive, and it really makes this 2-valve feel so much better. So let's just, so you can see, it's just so touchy. And I have to say that gears have to be one of the best mods, and by gears I mean a 373, 390, or 410 ratio. So 373, 390, or 410 ratio has to be one of the best mods for a naturally aspirated 2-valve. Now 410s are also very good for if you're going with a Vortex setup, or even a low horsepower turbo setup. And by Vortex I mean Pro Chargers as well, Paxton, a centrifugal style blower. These cars like, you know, those style blowers like RPM, so when you can hit it like that very, very quickly, very responsibly, the RPMs are going to go faster, and therefore you're going to make boost faster, since the centrifugals build boost as RPM builds. I have to say, this car just impresses me. And you guys know, I drive a 600 rear wheel horsepower Cobra pretty much on the daily when I'm not driving this, and this car is a blast. And coming from someone who drives something with a lot more power, I can have a lot of fun in this car.